Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the noise fades, the excuses fall silent, and a question rises up from deep within. What am I going to do with the gift I've been given? Not tomorrow, not someday, but now, right here, standing on the edge of 2026. We live in a world that rewards comfort and applauds average, but you were not created for either. You were created with purpose stitched into your spirit, breath placed in your lungs by a power greater than fear, greater than doubt, greater than every setback that tried to name you and failed. The truth is, what you're up against is not stronger than what's already inside you. See, unstoppable doesn't mean unchallenged. It means unshaken. It means when life hits hard, and it will, you hit back with faith. Faith that wakes you up when motivation is gone. Faith that tells you your past does not disqualify you. It prepared you. Faith that reminds you that delay is not denial and pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. As we step into 2026, the world doesn't need a new version of someone else. It needs the boldest, most disciplined, most faithful version of you. The one who shows up early, stays late, and believes even when the evidence says otherwise. The one who understands that prayer without work is empty and work without faith is hollow. This is your season to stand taller, to move with intention, and to walk forward knowing that what's guiding you is stronger than what's opposing you. You are not here by accident. You are here on assignment. And when you align your habits with your calling, your discipline with your destiny, and your faith with your actions, nothing in 2026 will be able to stop you. Purpose over comfort is a decision that quietly shapes every meaningful life. Long before the results show up, comfort asks one simple question: how can I stay safe? Purpose asks a far more demanding one: why was I created? The moment purpose enters the picture, comfort loses its authority. Comfort wants familiar routines, predictable outcomes, and approval from the crowd. Purpose requires movement, sacrifice, and a willingness to walk into uncertainty with conviction rather than guarantees. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They stall because comfort feels like peace when it's really avoidance. It disguises itself as patience, self-care, or waiting for the right time, but beneath it is fear of disruption. Purpose, on the other hand, disrupts by design. It pulls a person out of what is easy and into what is necessary. It demands growth before confidence and obedience before clarity. Purpose will often ask for action when emotions are still catching up. Living with purpose means accepting that discomfort is not a sign of being off track. It is often proof that alignment is happening. Muscles don't strengthen without resistance, and character doesn't deepen without challenge. When purpose leads, discomfort becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. It reveals weak habits, exposes limiting beliefs, and forces a higher standard. Comfort numbs those revelations, keeping people busy but unchanged. There is a cost to choosing purpose, and it is usually paid up front. Late nights, early mornings, misunderstood decisions, and seasons where applause is absent. Comfort waits for conditions to improve. Purpose moves while conditions are imperfect. Comfort wants reassurance. Purpose operates on conviction. One asks for permission, the other responds to calling. The difference is not personality, resources, or background. It is priority. Purpose also demands separation. Not isolation, but distinction. Certain environments, conversations, and patterns cannot follow someone into a purpose-driven life. Comfort clings to familiarity even when it no longer fits. Purpose requires discernment, knowing when something good is no longer aligned with what is right. Growth often means outgrowing spaces that once felt like home. That tension is uncomfortable, but it is also necessary. When purpose governs decisions, discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like devotion. Sacrifice becomes meaningful instead of bitter. The work carries weight because it is connected to something beyond personal gain. Comfort focuses on relief. Purpose focuses on impact. Comfort asks how something feels today. Purpose considers what it produces tomorrow. That shift changes how setbacks are interpreted. Failure becomes feedback. Delay becomes development. Purpose-driven people do not wait to feel ready. They understand readiness is built through obedience, not contemplation. Comfort demands confidence first. Purpose builds confidence through movement. Every step taken in alignment strengthens belief. Momentum is born when action honors intention. Waiting too long dulls urgency and breeds doubt. Purpose keeps urgency alive without panic, steady without complacency. A life led by purpose is not louder, flashier, or easier. It is anchored. When pressure comes, it does not collapse inward because it is rooted in meaning, not mood. Comfort depends on circumstances, staying favorable. Purpose remains steady even when circumstances resist. It draws strength from knowing the work matters, the calling is real, and the sacrifice is not wasted. Choosing purpose over comfort is not a one-time decision. It is a daily recalibration. Each morning presents the same choice in new forms: ease or excellence, convenience or conviction, distraction or discipline. Comfort offers immediate relief. Purpose offers lasting fulfillment. One keeps life manageable. The other makes life meaningful. Faith fuels resilience by anchoring the soul when circumstances try to shake identity. Resilience without faith can endure for a while, but it eventually runs on empty, relying solely on willpower and emotional strength. Faith introduces a deeper source of endurance, one that does not depend on visible outcomes or immediate relief. It allows a person to stand firm, not because the situation is stable, but because their trust is rooted beyond the situation itself. Faith reframes adversity. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof of failure, faith interprets them as part of formation. What looks like resistance becomes refinement. Pressure stops being a signal to quit and becomes an invitation to grow stronger. Faith does not deny pain, but it refuses to let pain define the future. It provides the courage to keep moving forward when answers are incomplete and results are delayed. Resilience built on faith does not crumble under repetition. One disappointment can be survived by motivation, but repeated setbacks require belief. Faith gives meaning to persistence. It reminds a person that perseverance is not wasted energy. Even when progress feels invisible, roots grow in silence before anything rises above the ground. Faith trusts the unseen work happening beneath the surface. When strength is limited, faith extends capacity. There are moments when effort alone is not enough, when exhaustion is real and hope feels thin. Faith steps in not as a burst of emotion, but as a quiet decision to continue. It whispers that giving up is not an option, even when the path forward is unclear. This kind of resilience is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, disciplined, and grounded. Faith also guards the mind. Many battles are lost internally long before circumstances change. Doubt, fear, and discouragement can erode resolve faster than external opposition. Faith interrupts that erosion by anchoring thoughts in truth rather than emotion. It reminds the mind of promises greater than present conditions. Resilience becomes possible when thoughts are stabilized and perspective is restored. There is a humility in faith-driven resilience. It recognizes that strength is not self-generated alone. This humility does not weaken resolve, it strengthens it. Knowing that one is not carrying the weight alone reduces despair and increases endurance. Faith allows surrender without defeat, dependence without passivity. It creates space for rest without retreat. Faith sustains consistency. Motivation fluctuates, but faith remains. Resilience is not built in dramatic moments. It is formed through repeated choices to show up, even when enthusiasm fades. Faith keeps those choices aligned. It provides a reason to stay committed when recognition is absent and progress feels slow. Consistency powered by faith compounds over time. Setbacks test belief, and belief tests resilience. Faith does not promise immunity from hardship, but it promises meaning within it. That meaning transforms suffering into strength. What once threatened to break a person becomes the very thing that builds them. Faith gives permission to endure without becoming bitter, to struggle without losing vision. Resilient faith does not demand understanding before obedience. It moves forward while questions remain unanswered. This willingness to trust beyond comprehension develops a resilience that cannot be taught or borrowed. It is earned through experience, refined through endurance, and strengthened through reliance on something greater than self. Faith fuels resilience by keeping the heart steady when outcomes are uncertain, by providing hope that outlasts disappointment, by sustaining effort when strength is depleted, by reinforcing identity when circumstances attempt to redefine worth, by turning trials into training and endurance into character. Discipline creates destiny by shaping the direction of life long before success becomes visible. Destiny is often mistaken for a matter of chance or talent, but in reality it is built through repeated choices that rarely attract attention. Discipline is not dramatic. It does not rely on inspiration or perfect conditions. It shows up quietly, daily, and consistently, forming patterns that eventually define outcomes. What a person practices repeatedly becomes what they produce inevitably. Discipline begins where desire alone falls short. Many people want change, growth, and fulfillment, but desire without structure fades quickly. Discipline provides that structure. It translates intention into action and vision into routine. It removes decision fatigue by creating habits that operate even when motivation is low. When discipline is present, progress continues regardless of mood, circumstance, or convenience. Every disciplined action is a vote for the future. Small choices accumulate, and over time they compound into character, skill, and confidence. Discipline trains the mind to delay gratification, to value long-term results over short-term relief. This ability to wait, to work, and to persist separates those who merely dream from those who build. Destiny is rarely altered by a single moment. It is redirected by daily consistency. Discipline also sharpens identity. Repeated behavior reinforces self-perception. When a person keeps promises to themselves, trust is built internally. Confidence grows not from affirmation, but from evidence. Discipline becomes proof of commitment. It reinforces the belief that one is capable, reliable, and prepared. Over time, disciplined behavior transforms how a person sees themselves and how others respond to them. There is freedom in discipline that comfort never offers. Without discipline, life becomes reactive, controlled by impulses and external pressures. Discipline creates boundaries that protect focus and energy. It defines what deserves attention and what must be declined. This clarity reduces stress and increases effectiveness. Rather than limiting potential, discipline channels it. Discipline also prepares individuals for opportunities before they arrive. Success often appears suddenly, but it favors those who are already trained. Discipline develops competence quietly, so that when the moment comes, readiness is already in place. Without discipline, opportunity becomes overwhelming. With discipline, it becomes manageable and sustainable. Growth demands resistance, and discipline willingly embraces it. Repetition, refinement, and correction are uncomfortable, but they are essential. Discipline allows discomfort to be productive rather than paralyzing. It reframes effort as investment. Each challenge becomes a strengthening agent rather than a deterrent. Over time, Resilience is built through repeated exposure to difficulty under control. Discipline governs focus. In a world full of distraction, the ability to concentrate is a competitive advantage. Discipline trains attention, directing energy toward what matters most. It eliminates unnecessary noise and creates space for depth. This focus accelerates learning, improves execution, and enhances creativity. Destiny is not only about where one goes, but how intentionally one moves. The absence of discipline does not usually result in immediate failure. It results in drift. Without clear habits and standards, progress becomes inconsistent. Potential remains unrealized. Discipline prevents this slow erosion by providing stability. It keeps momentum alive even during seasons when results are not obvious. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Mistakes will happen, routines will break, and energy will fluctuate. Discipline responds by recalibrating rather than quitting. It allows progress to continue without being derailed by setbacks. This adaptability ensures longevity. Ultimately, discipline aligns daily behavior with long-term purpose. It bridges the gap between where someone is and where they are meant to be. Destiny is not discovered. It is constructed through disciplined living, intentional choices, and consistent action that shapes identity, builds capacity, strengthens character, and determines the trajectory of a life. Pressure is preparation when it is understood rather than resisted. Most people see pressure as an interruption, something standing in the way of progress, but pressure is often the very process that makes progress possible. It exposes weaknesses, reveals limits, and demands growth. Without pressure, potential remains untested and undeveloped. What feels heavy is often what is shaping strength. Pressure clarifies priorities. Under pressure, distractions lose their appeal, and what truly matters rises to the surface. Comfort allows procrastination and indecision to linger. Pressure forces choice. It compels action and demands focus. In moments of intensity, values are revealed and character is refined. Pressure does not create who someone is, it uncovers it. Growth requires resistance. Muscles strengthen by being stressed beyond their current capacity, and the same principle applies to the mind and spirit. Pressure stretches endurance and sharpens resolve. When handled with intention, it expands capability. Avoiding pressure may feel protective, but it limits development. Embracing pressure allows growth to occur at an accelerated pace. Pressure also trains composure. The ability to remain steady under strain is a learned skill. Pressure provides the environment where calm is practiced and confidence is forged. Each time someone navigates a demanding situation without breaking, their capacity increases. Over time, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Familiarity with pressure builds mastery over it. There is instruction embedded in pressure. It highlights inefficiencies, exposes unhealthy patterns, and forces evaluation. Pressure demands adaptation. Strategies that worked in easier seasons may no longer suffice. This demand for refinement leads to innovation and improvement. Pressure does not punish stagnation, it challenges it. Pressure separates intention from commitment. Many people have good intentions until pressure applies weight. When difficulty arises, true commitment is revealed. Pressure tests resolve, exposing whether goals are rooted in convenience or conviction. Those who endure pressure without abandoning their values emerge more focused and determined. Pressure builds resilience by strengthening endurance. Repeated exposure to controlled pressure develops stamina. The mind becomes more flexible, the spirit more resilient, and the will more disciplined. What once caused panic begins to inspire confidence. Pressure handled well becomes a reference point for future challenges. Pressure is also a signal of proximity to growth. Often, pressure increases just before expansion occurs. It intensifies when limits are being challenged and new capacity is being formed. Interpreted correctly, pressure becomes a sign that progress is underway. Resistance often accompanies transformation. Perspective determines whether pressure produces progress or paralysis. When pressure is viewed as an enemy, it creates fear and avoidance. When it is viewed as preparation, it encourages engagement and learning. This shift in perspective transforms stress into strategy. Pressure becomes a training ground rather than a threat. Pressure refines decision-making. Under strain, clarity becomes essential. Choices must be deliberate, not impulsive. Pressure rewards focus and penalizes distraction. Over time, this sharpens judgment and strengthens leadership. Those who learn to think clearly under pressure gain a significant advantage. Pressure is not meant to crush, it is meant to shape. It is applied not to destroy, but to develop. Each challenge carries the opportunity to increase capacity, deepen resilience, and strengthen resolve. When pressure is met with discipline and perspective, it becomes preparation for greater responsibility, greater influence, and greater impact. Identity over excuses is a choice that determines whether growth is possible or progress remains stalled. Excuses are often subtle, reasonable, and socially acceptable. They sound like logic, timing, or self-protection, but their true function is avoidance. Identity, on the other hand, is rooted in ownership. When identity leads, responsibility replaces justification, and movement replaces delay. Excuses focus on circumstances. Identity focuses on standards. Circumstances shift constantly, but identity remains consistent. When people define themselves by what they value and who they choose to be, their behavior aligns accordingly. Excuses outsource responsibility to external factors. Identity internalizes accountability. This internal shift changes how challenges are approached and how setbacks are processed. Identity-driven individuals ask different questions. Instead of asking what is fair or convenient, they ask what is required. Instead of asking who is to blame, they ask how to respond. Identity frames obstacles as tests of character rather than reasons to withdraw. It does not deny difficulty, but it refuses to be governed by it. Excuses protect comfort, but erode confidence. Each excuse reinforces the belief that circumstances are stronger than choice. Over time, this weakens agency and diminishes self-trust. Identity strengthens confidence by reinforcing agency. When actions align with identity, self-respect grows. Confidence becomes a byproduct of consistency rather than a requirement for action. Identity provides stability under pressure. When situations become unpredictable, identity acts as an anchor. It clarifies behavior when emotions are unstable. Excuses fluctuate with mood and environment. Identity holds steady regardless of conditions. This steadiness allows progress to continue even when motivation is inconsistent. Choosing identity over excuses requires honesty. It demands confronting gaps between intention and behavior. This confrontation can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Identity is refined through truth, not avoidance. Growth begins when reality is acknowledged without distortion. Excuses soften reality. Identity faces it directly. Identity also shapes discipline. When behavior is driven by identity, discipline feels purposeful rather than forced. Actions become expressions of who someone is, not obligations imposed from outside. This alignment reduces internal resistance. Habits stick because they are connected to self-concept rather than external pressure. Excuses often masquerade as self-awareness. They sound reflective but function defensively. Identity-based reflection seeks improvement, not justification. It asks where growth is needed and what adjustments are required. This forward-focused mindset keeps momentum alive. Excuses stall momentum by revisiting limitations instead of expanding capacity. Identity influences language, And language reinforces belief. What someone says about themselves becomes what they accept as true. Excuses weaken language by emphasizing inability and limitation. Identity strengthens language by reinforcing responsibility and potential. Over time, this language shapes perception and behavior. When identity governs decisions, resilience increases. Setbacks are interpreted as challenges to overcome, not verdicts on ability. Failure becomes feedback rather than confirmation of doubt. Identity provides a lens that separates performance from worth. This separation allows persistence without self-condemnation. Identity also determines boundaries. It defines what is acceptable and what is not. Excuses blur boundaries to accommodate discomfort. Identity draws clear lines that protect integrity. These boundaries guide choices in moments of pressure, reducing hesitation and regret. Living from identity requires consistency. It is not a one-time declaration, but a daily practice. Each decision reinforces or erodes identity. Excuses offer temporary relief. Identity offers long-term alignment. The choice between them determines whether potential is postponed or realized, whether challenges become turning points or stopping points, whether progress continues or stagnation sets in. Action activates belief by transforming intention into evidence. Belief often begins as a thought, a hope, or a conviction, but it remains fragile until it is expressed through movement. Action gives belief weight. It takes what is internal and makes it visible. Without action, belief stays theoretical. With action, belief becomes experiential. Many people wait for belief to feel strong before they move. In reality, belief strengthens after movement begins. Action precedes confidence. More often than confidence precedes action. Each step taken in uncertainty reinforces belief by proving capability. Momentum builds not from certainty, but from willingness. Action interrupts doubt. Doubt thrives in stillness, where imagination magnifies risk and fear fills in unknowns. Movement narrows focus to the next step, reducing mental noise. Action provides clarity that contemplation cannot. It replaces speculation with experience and fear with feedback. Belief deepens when effort is invested. Commitment increases as energy, time, and focus are applied. Action creates ownership. What is worked on becomes valued. This investment strengthens belief, because walking away would require abandoning effort already given. Action ties belief to responsibility. Action also refines belief. Initial beliefs are often incomplete or idealistic. Through action, beliefs are tested and adjusted. This refinement makes belief more resilient. It becomes grounded in reality rather than assumption. Adjustments made through experience strengthen alignment between intention and outcome. Action reveals gaps that belief alone cannot identify. Skills, habits, and systems are exposed when effort is applied. These gaps are not failures. They are information. Action provides feedback loops that guide improvement. Belief grows stronger as competence increases. Belief activated by action becomes self-reinforcing. Small wins confirm capability. Progress, even incremental, validates effort. These confirmations accumulate, reinforcing belief. Over time, belief shifts from hopeful to assured. Action creates a cycle where belief fuels action and action reinforces belief. Action also signals seriousness. Internally, it communicates commitment. Externally, it attracts trust and opportunity. People respond to movement more than intention. Action demonstrates readiness. Belief that remains unacted upon lacks credibility. Action gives belief credibility. There is discipline in action that belief alone cannot sustain. Belief may inspire the start, but action sustains progress. Routine action carries belief through seasons of fatigue and doubt. Discipline anchors belief when emotion fluctuates. Action reduces the distance between vision and reality. It turns abstract goals into tangible steps. This translation makes belief manageable. Large visions can feel overwhelming when left unacted. Action breaks them into achievable components. Each completed step reinforces belief that the whole is possible. Belief grows through risk accepted and navigated. Action requires exposure to uncertainty. Each risk faced and survived strengthens belief. Fear loses influence when repeatedly confronted. Action proves that uncertainty can be managed. Action transforms belief from passive hope into active trust. Trust is belief demonstrated. It is belief willing to be tested. This willingness deepens conviction. Belief no longer depends on reassurance. It depends on experience. Inaction weakens belief over time. A news belief atrophies. Doubt fills the space left by hesitation. Action prevents this erosion by continually renewing belief through engagement. Even imperfect action sustains belief more effectively than prolonged planning. Action activates belief by moving it from thought to practice, from intention to discipline, from desire to demonstration, from potential to progress, from internal conviction to lived reality. Consistency builds momentum by turning effort into movement that carries itself forward. Sporadic action may create short bursts of progress, but it cannot sustain direction. Consistency provides rhythm. It establishes a pattern that the mind and body can follow even when energy fluctuates. Momentum is not created by intensity alone. It is created by repetition. Consistency reduces resistance. The first effort often feels heavy because it requires overcoming inertia. Repeated effort lowers that resistance. What once demanded willpower becomes routine. This shift conserves energy and increases efficiency. Consistency allows progress to continue without constant internal negotiation. Momentum grows quietly. Early stages rarely feel dramatic. Small, repeated actions may seem insignificant, but they accumulate. Each consistent effort compounds the last. Over time, results accelerate. This acceleration is often mistaken for sudden success, but it is the outcome of sustained consistency. Consistency stabilizes focus. When actions are repeated, clarity increases. The mind becomes less distracted by alternatives and more committed to direction. This focus strengthens execution. Decisions become faster because priorities are clear. Consistency simplifies complexity. Consistency builds trust with oneself. Keeping small commitments reinforces reliability. This internal trust increases confidence. Confidence does not come from occasional success. It comes from knowing that effort will be repeated regardless of circumstances. This reliability strengthens resolve. Momentum created by consistency carries effort through low motivation seasons. Motivation is unpredictable. Consistency is dependable. When enthusiasm fades, habits remain. These habits keep progress moving. Momentum reduces the need for motivation by providing forward motion. Consistency also sharpens skill. Repetition improves precision. Each iteration refines technique and increases competence. Skill development requires exposure over time. Consistency provides that exposure. Competence grows through sustained practice, not isolated attempts. Consistency protects against burnout. Extreme bursts of effort often lead to exhaustion. Consistent, manageable effort sustains energy. It balances progress with recovery. This balance ensures longevity. Momentum built this way is sustainable. Consistency reinforces identity. Repeated behavior shapes self-perception. When actions align with goals consistently, identity strengthens. One begins to see themselves as disciplined, capable, and committed. This identity supports further consistency. Momentum becomes self-reinforcing. Consistency reduces fear of failure. When effort is habitual, outcomes are less emotionally charged. Setbacks become part of the process, rather than personal judgments. This emotional stability encourages continued effort. Momentum is preserved even when results fluctuate. Consistency creates predictability. Predictability enables planning. Planning improves efficiency. This efficiency increases output. Each layer strengthens momentum. Progress becomes smoother and more controlled. Consistency compounds resilience. Facing challenges regularly builds tolerance. What once felt difficult becomes manageable. This adaptation strengthens endurance. Momentum increases as resistance decreases. Consistency maintains alignment. Regular action keeps goals present. Drift is minimized. Direction remains clear. Momentum thrives when direction is stable. Consistency transforms effort into flow. Actions connect seamlessly. Progress feels natural. Momentum becomes an extension of routine rather than a forced push. Consistency builds momentum through repetition, focus, trust, skill, resilience, identity, efficiency, and sustained effort that carries progress forward regardless of emotion, circumstance, or external validation. Alignment unlocks the unstoppable by bringing thought, belief, and behavior into harmony. When actions match values and values match vision, energy is no longer scattered. Power increases because effort is focused. Misalignment creates friction, draining momentum through internal conflict. Alignment removes that friction, allowing movement with clarity and force. Many struggles are not the result of lack of ability, but of divided direction. When priorities compete, progress slows. Alignment resolves this by establishing a clear hierarchy of importance. Decisions become simpler because they are filtered through purpose. This clarity reduces hesitation and second-guessing. Alignment strengthens integrity. Integrity is not perfection, it is coherence. When what is believed matches what is done, confidence stabilizes, internal trust grows. This trust fuels consistency and resilience. Doubt weakens when behavior reinforces belief. Alignment enhances efficiency. Energy is finite. When it is spent on conflicting pursuits, exhaustion follows. Alignment concentrates energy on what matters most. Effort produces greater return. Progress accelerates without increasing strain. Alignment also sharpens discernment. Opportunities are evaluated based on fit rather than appeal. Not every opportunity is advancement. Alignment helps distinguish between movement and progress. It protects against distraction disguised as opportunity. Alignment deepens commitment. When actions are connected to meaning, perseverance increases. Sacrifice becomes purposeful. Challenges are endured because they serve a larger vision. Commitment rooted in alignment outlasts convenience. Alignment fosters momentum by reducing internal resistance. Resistance often comes from acting against values or neglecting priorities. When behavior aligns with belief, resistance diminishes. Action feels natural rather than forced. Momentum increases as effort becomes fluid. Alignment builds credibility. Consistency between words and actions strengthens trust with others. Trust opens doors. Influence grows. Opportunities expand. Alignment amplifies impact beyond individual effort. Alignment supports adaptability. When core values are clear, adjustments can be made without losing direction. Change becomes refinement rather than disruption. This flexibility strengthens resilience. Alignment provides a stable core within evolving circumstances. Alignment reinforces focus. Clear alignment reduces noise. Attention is directed toward essentials. Focus sharpens execution. Execution strengthens results. Results reinforce alignment. Alignment encourages discipline. When purpose is clear, discipline feels justified. Effort aligns with intention. Discipline becomes a tool rather than a burden. This relationship sustains long-term progress. Alignment nurtures confidence. Confidence grows when actions consistently reflect intention. There is less internal negotiation, less self-doubt. Confidence becomes quiet and steady. This steadiness supports bold action. Alignment creates momentum that compounds. Each aligned decision strengthens the next. Progress builds logically and predictably. Momentum becomes sustainable. Alignment transforms effort into effectiveness. Work produces meaningful outcomes. Strain is reduced. Impact increases. Alignment unlocks the unstoppable by unifying vision, values, and action, by focusing energy, clarifying decisions, strengthening integrity, deepening commitment, enhancing efficiency, sustaining resilience, sharpening focus, building trust, and allowing momentum to flow without internal resistance.